Okay, so there I am with 2017 1.1.2. I don't know that any of that matters, but just to let you know where I'm starting from. Okay, so if you're like me, the way that you imported files in the past was to use your mouse to go to your bin, your project thingy, click on something, click on the gray, and then take an image or whatever it is, click on it, bring it in, and move it over to your timeline. Okay, cool. And I never really paid much attention, but I can't say that it's always been this way, but I just started noticing, like, for whatever reason, that's not like a second, and pretty sure that my settings were for a second. So that's kind of weird, and if the way you're always doing it is this way, then you may not really notice, like, that's consistent. Okay, cool, move on with your life. Once I started using this AutoHotkey thing, which you might have seen people use, you're like, it's all about making everything shortcuts. You write some code and you can make magic happen. Anyways, so like, here's an example. Like, I set up some code so that if I hit my number 1 key, it does that, which is nifty, right? Saves me some time. Okay. Or if I do F2, it does that. Okay. I'll show you that later if you're interested, but my point is that I'm using all these, special hotkey setups, and I want, if I do one thing in different ways, I want it to be consistent, obviously. So I like, for example, if I click, say, I don't even know where that was, reveal in the project. So if I clicked on this one, I never ever used this before, but like I said, I started mapping hotkeys to everything, so I wanted a different way to add it to the timeline. So Alt R for me will do, that. Let's try that the right way. And it's it's consistent, but then once you start doing, let's say, like the way I brought in, the way I just showed you that I do this with the hotkey thingy, I sometimes get different results. So, for example, all I'm really doing without using the AutoHotkey, I'm just going to open a window. I'm going to do it by hand, drag it down, and that looks fine. But it's not always fine. If I find another random image that doesn't have, because once you bring something in to Premiere, like an image or something like that, regardless of what you kind of do later, it's gonna, if it exists, like that black solid already existed in here, and so it's really kind of paying attention to this. When I bring it in again, it's gonna like conform it to whatever it was before. If I get rid of this, I'm fairly certain, actually let me try, let me undo that, and let's actually find it in the Explorer, and now undo it, delete it. I'm gonna go back to that same Explorer. Theoretically, I should get a different result. I don't. Okay, it's keeping record of it. So let's actually try a whole other image that I haven't brought in. If I bring this down, okay, that's consistent. I assure you, it's not always. Okay, so that was doing that. You can overwrite. Okay, consistency. Okay, it's still not. Still seems to be a little wonky. I mean, it's just a frame short. Okay, what if I go here and change the, I know it says that I am in 23.976, and why would I do this? I don't know, it just seems to be more accurate regardless of what the sequence is. So if I bring in another image that I've never brought in before, I drag it over here, I'm actually getting now what I want, which is weird, right? Because that's, you know, there's obviously something happening inside of the program where it's not, it doesn't, you know, when I say 30, it's not like literally 30. It's like there's some conversion going on where it says it knows to convert it, right? Because if I look here, it says 24. But if I go back to, if I look here on the frames, okay, that's another weird thing. It like does this weird, let's see if I can find one that's not, it's something to do with these particular images. If I go to where is the something like totally different, let's see if I get a different result. I'm gonna drag it down, so like that's a weird result, right? That's actually 30, which is what I told it to do. So the dragging and the dropping from a Windows window gives you literally what you ask for in here. Slow. Right? So it's 30, that's 30 over there. But before I had to do 24 to get that result. So it's weird, right? Getting a little back, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. I was gonna put this window, like you import it with the Windows window and you drag and drop it and you tell it literally what you want, you know, 24 or 20, what is it, 23.976, and then you get that result. If I go 30, I bring it in through the Windows window, drag and drop, and then I tell it to do 30, it does that. Which, you know, that sounds all well and good, but, you know, don't forget that I had 30. Oh, maybe I haven't even done it yet. Let's go whole new one. Let's illustrate it by going here. So now it's gone into the bin, and I dragged and dropped it, and see, it was at 24. I'm forgetting if let's go back here. Yeah, 30. So, right? Am I wrong? Is that not weird? It's obviously doing something in the background. My point is none of this stuff is consistent. And I want it to be because, like I said before, I'm using these hotkeys, and I mean, I think even if you're not using hotkeys, you want it to be consistent, but, you know, if I hit 1 and I bring it down here and I look at it and its speed is 24 frames. Let's see. I wonder if that changes. If I go into here, so I'm looking at seconds or frames right now. I move this to seconds, and now I hit speed duration. Still says, okay. Sometimes I swear it says the seconds, but what is it? Control J? Yeah. Anyways, if I bring it over, 24. So that worked, but it's weird, right? It's just not consistent. Yeah, I don't know. I think I proved my point. I've tried a whole bunch of different iterations of this, different frame rates, and each one is like wonktified, right? You can see just by the tail end, like, I mean, arguably that, you know, when you drag and drop it, you get, you know, literally when you're in the frames and you drag and drop, it does what the frames say. When you're putting it into the bin first and dragging it over, then 30 isn't going to give you 30, it's going to give you whatever this sequence is. But almost always you're a frame short when you do it the normal way, what I consider the normal way, to go here and drag it, double click and then drag it over, and then it again, like, it memorizes sort of what you've done in the past. So I don't know, there's a lot going on and it's not consistent and it's a little confusing, so I thought I'd mention that. Alright, I'm done.